situation where you would vote for a bill that allows funding, temporary or not funding, whatever it is, funding this week for the border wall?
No, Aaron, I won't, because it's a total waste of taxpayer money. Even the security experts tell us that is not a smart way to defend the border. So we're all for border security, but we're not for wasting taxpayer dollars. And as you pointed out, throughout the campaign, you had candidate Donald Trump beating his chest, saying he's going to require Mexico to pay for this. And of course, the Mexicans have told him to take a hike. So we're not going to ask the American people to foot the bill for a wall that's a waste of money. So border security is fine. Wasting taxpayer dollars on a wall, no.
So, you know, the president just said in an interview, Senator, that if the wall stops 1% of the drugs, he said just 1%, it will pay for itself. By the way, he says it's going to cost $10 billion. That's less than half of the public estimates. Are you willing to shut the government down over this, or are you willing to allow some kind of vague, you say you support border security, amount for border security that then he kind of goes wink, wink, nod, nod and uses for a wall?
Now, Aaron, let's be really clear. It's President Trump who, through his tweets and sending out the Secretary of Homeland Security and the OMB director, who is threatening to shut down the government if he doesn't get his way on the wall. We're about 3/4 of the way through the current fiscal year. We didn't have any funding for the wall in that bill. The president can look to the next year if he wants to fight this out. But to threaten to shut down the government, and let's be really clear, Republicans have the White House. They have both houses of Congress. I think it's going to be a big mistake for them to shut down the government because the president couldn't get Mexico to pay for the wall. I mean, go down south of the border once again and try again. But he told the American people that we wouldn't have to waste our money on the wall.
So look, he feels a lot of pressure right now because of this 100-day marker, which he himself has said is so important, even though now he says it isn't. He clearly cares about it. And I'm sure you've seen, Senator, the Washington Post poll that puts his approval rating at the lowest levels at this point in a presidency since 1945. All right. But there the gloating for Democrats may end because it has some really bad news in it for you all, too. It shows only 28% of Americans think the Democratic Party is in touch. I mean, that's a pretty abysmal number. And those numbers, by the way, are worse than the numbers for Trump on being out of touch or for Republicans. So it's the worst for Democrats. And you're here as the person responsible for getting more Democrats elected to the Senate. Did it shock you to see these numbers this morning?
I was concerned about the numbers. Look, the American public, I think, is fed up with the process overall. But as you indicated, Donald Trump ran saying he was going to come to Washington, he was going to make these great deals, and he was going to make things work. Instead of making a deal here, he's giving everybody this ultimatum. He sounds like an extortionist threatening to shut down the government if he doesn't get his way on this. That is not the art of the deal. I mean, the result of that will be a government shutdown.
Right. And I understand you're going back to that. But I want to get to this point, though. 28% of Americans think the Democratic Party is in touch. That is lower than the number who say that about Donald Trump or Republicans. I mean, this is pretty stunning.
Well, I think you're going to see a turnaround in this. All I can tell you is when I'm out and about, both in the state of Maryland and throughout the country, you're having a huge outpouring of grassroots support. You've seen it at town hall meetings. You've seen it in the phone calls we're getting in Congress. People do not want to turn back the clock on the progress we made. What they want is for people to get together to try and solve problems. And that's why it's so problematic that you've got the president right now threatening to shut down the government. But look, he talked during the campaign about modernizing our national infrastructure. That is something that has strong bipartisan support. Why not start with something like that rather than start out by trying to undo the Affordable Care Act and put millions of people in jeopardy and try and force through a wall under government shutdown threats.
All right. Thank you very much, Senator Van Hollen. I appreciate your time tonight.
Thank
and
you.
Mark Preston is with me, our senior political analyst. All right. I want to start where we just finished off. Democrats don't have an answer. He's responsible for